Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the U.S. Senate election, and I will be doing my analysis and prediction. So basically, I will be looking at polling on 538, plus just normal knowledge of the election and the state's political ideology and other factors put into those states. And I will be predicting who it will be winning, all the competitive states. So I'm not going to be talking a lot about, let's say, Idaho, because that one is not competitive and nobody's really watching that. The Republican in the state is basically is a guarantee win for them. So I will not be talking about that one. And so right now I'm just going to do all the states. These are states that the Republicans will win that are not competitive at all. These are states that we do not need to look at. These will be states that are not competitive at all and really are not going to be close at all. I like a lot of these states. I'm just going to put them as competitive because there's some speculation that they could be closer than they actually are. But I feel like they aren't, but I'll still leave them there so I can talk about them. Those are all the Republican ones. All the Democrat states that will be competitive, not competitive, will be California, Oregon, Illinois, Maryland, New York, Vermont, and Connecticut, and Hawaii. So the Democrats basically have 44 safe seats guaranteed, while the Republicans have 42. So these are the states that we do not need to look at. These are not competitive states. These are states that we can guarantee they will win in, basically. These are likely never going to flip ever. So now we will be looking at the competitive states. Let's start with some competitive. Let's start with the states that are somewhat competitive, but really are not that competitive at the same time. Let's start with Iowa, because that one on the map is probably the least competitive one. If you look here, Chuck Grassley, who's running for, I believe, his seventh term in the Senate, has a very big chance of winning, but I feel like I put this as somewhat competitive. I feel like this will still be a safe margin. My reason is Chuck Grassley is very old. He will be in his 90s when his term ends. This will probably be his last time he's running for political office. And Michael Franken is not a terrible candidate. Michael Franken has had some attacks recently on him about allegations of harassment. So that did hurt. This will hurt him a lot. But Franken really has no chance of winning. I just wanted to talk about this. If we look at polling, the closest thing is 3 points Grassley, which is highly unlikely. Recent polls have shown it 11 to 14. I feel like he will win by 12 to 20, to be honest. So, this is a state that I don't think is going to be competitive. I just want to put awareness to it, if that makes sense. And it's not going to be super safe, but I feel like this is a safe state. Now we will move on to Utah, where this is a very interesting race we have in Utah. In Utah, the Democrats don't have a candidate. Instead, the Democrats endorsed an independent candidate named Eben McMullen. He ran for 2016 against Trump, and he actually did pretty well in Utah. Not a lot in the other states, but he's doing pretty well. He did okay for a independent candidate in 2016 with a two-party system. But Mike Lee is the incumbent Utah Republican senator. Sorry, I just kind of stuttered there. And obviously, this is people keep saying this is going to be likely because of McMullen, because he's going to win independent voters that don't like Mike Lee, and other conservative Republicans while also winning the Democrats. The Democrats are like 20% of Utah's population. I'm going to put this in a safe margin. This could be likely, but I use 10-point margins, so I do not think that will. I believe we already look at polling. Yeah, there's only one poll showing McMullen winning, and that was a very terrible pollster, as you can see. Not a lot of good pollsters in Utah, but I feel like this is a state. This is not going to be a lean margin or anything. This will never flip. I feel like everybody can agree this is a state that will not flip. But I do think this is I'm just going to classify it as a competitive state. Okay, the next state that I'm going to say is competitive will be Washington. So this will be the last ones that are not really competitive, but I would still classify them as somewhat competitive. Washington, the incumbent is Patty Murray. She's not the most strongest incumbent, and Washington is kind of getting closer than usual this year. Obviously, polling has showing her winning by good margins. I'm going to just put this in safe. There is a very good chance this could be under 10 points, but I do not think that will be under 10 points. I feel like Murray is a pretty strong independent, and obviously Washington is not going to elect a Republican U.S. senator. That's obviously not going to happen, in my opinion, and I feel like there's not a lot to talk about this except Patty Murray. Pretty good. Likely margin at worst. Worst is probably 8 points or 7 points at the worst for Patty Murray. So now these are the more competitive states. I'm going to do Alaska first because Alaska has a very weird voting system. So in Alaska, they have something called ranked choice voting, and they don't have parties. So they don't have all, like, it's hard to explain, but a Republican is likely going to win. A Democrat's not going to win, but there's two Republicans running because in Alaska, there's not one Republican. They have as many Republicans as they want. So there's two Republicans, Lisa Murkowski, which is a very moderate Republican. She's one of the most moderate. I would think she's the most moderate senator and in the country right now, and she's doing well. I feel like she's gonna win, but Kelly Tibashka, she is the Trump candidate running against Alaska, and I do think this is a close one. But I'm gonna have to give it to Lisa Murkowski. I think she's an independent. I think Lisa Murkowski's an independent, but she's basically a Republican. Well, I think she's just a Republican, but I feel like she does identify as an independent, even though she votes with the Republicans the majority of the time. And she's basically, technically, a Republican candidate. So I feel like that would be safe. So I'm just going to put that in a lean margin for Lisa Murkowski. Now, obviously, this could go either ways, but lean margin is for Lisa Murkowski. Now we will move on. These are the so these are the states that will actually be competitive. Let's start with Colorado. These are the states that are going to be less than 10 points and could maybe have a chance of winning. Colorado, out of all those states, is probably the least competitive. Michael Bennet is the Democratic nominee and incumbent U.S. Senator, pretty popular with Democrats. And the Republican nominee is a very interesting nominee. He is a pro-choice, I believe, anti-Trump Republican nominee, which is a smart move for Colorado because Colorado is a Democratic state. But Joe O'Dea is actually not that bad of a candidate. He is actually a pretty good candidate for Colorado, but I do not think he's going to be able to win. I feel like maybe the best case is like 2 to 3 points for Joe O'Dea. It's kind of funny, though, because if Joe O'Dea kind of gets elected, he will be the Joe Manchin of the Republican Party, in my opinion. I do think he will vote with the Republican majority of the time, just like Joe Manchin, though. But it's just kind of funny that they both have the same first name and are both moderate. But anyway, I'm getting off track. As you can see, polls are showing Bennett winning anywhere from 1 to 10 points. I believe the average would be like probably 8-ish points or something. But I feel like Colorado will be a likely margin. I feel like this state is not going to be competitive, and this is a state that the Republicans, the Democrats can be very confident on because this is a state that, Democratic Michael Bennet is a popular incumbent, even though Joe O'Dea is a good candidate. If they elected a different candidate, this would be a different story for the Republican Party. But I do think this will be classified as a competitive state, and I'll put it in likely margin 8 to 9 points for Michael Bennet as of now. Now we'll do New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a very interesting state. This had so much potential for the Republicans to flip, but they really just failed. If Chris Sununu run, this would be pretty much this would be a state that the Republicans would basically win, and there would be it would still be competitive, but it would be a lot more likely the Republicans would win. But right now they elected Donald Bolduc, which is such a terrible candidate. The best candidate for them that was actually running was probably Chuck Morris, and he didn't run. Lost the nomination. Sorry for my stuttering. So they elected Donald Bolduc, and he's such a terrible candidate. Republicans are admitting he's a terrible candidate. Everybody thinks he's a terrible candidate. He has virtually no chance of winning. As you can see, Hassan has been doing well in polls. The average is like 7-ish, I would say. So this is Democratic likely. This New Hampshire is also a pretty Democratic state. It is a swing state, and it can be very competitive, and it could go either way. But a lot of the times, it just votes Democratic pretty confidently for the Democrats. So New Hampshire is a good state for Democrats. Not a lot to say about New Hampshire, except for that. Now, we'll do Florida next. Florida is an interesting race. Marco Rubio is the incumbent U.S. Senator, and I believe he has been senator for at least 2 terms now. He's running for a 3rd term, I believe. And the Democratic nominee is Val Demings. What was she? Oh yeah, former police chief of Orlando, and U.S. representative that has lost her job. She will lose re-election in her district because of Ron DeSantis' terrible redistricting. but we won't get into that. Val Demings, I think, is a very good. Val Demings is the very best candidate for Democrats in Florida. She's very good. She has virtually no chance of winning, sadly, though, as well. There's not one poll showing Val Demings winning, and this is a state that in a blue wave year in 2020 voted with Donald Trump by 3 points, and also voted for Rick Scott out of all people in 2018, also a red wave year. This state has been becoming increasingly uncompetitive for Democrats, and Democrats' chances are going down every day. The governors and Senate elections, they both flipped, which is a very big deal. In 2018, a blue wave year. So this, I'm going to have to say, will be likely Republican, because I don't think Florida is a state that will be, safe Republican yet. I feel like Val Demings has very good candidate quality, but that's why I feel like it'll be likely. Val Demings is a very good candidate. Marco Rubio is an okay one too. He is in the incumbent senator, and it is Florida. But yeah, that's why I think. Not a lot to say else out of there. Now, I will do Ohio, I have changed my margin after I'm recording this. I'm recording this to the right after the Ohio Senate debate happened. I'm starting to record it, and I do believe J.D. Vance won the debate against Ryan. It was a very narrow debate, but I feel like I'm going to have to change the margin to lean. I feel like he's going to win by a likely margin now. I do think I do think Tim Ryan has a very good chance still. I just think J.D. Vance is going to win by 5 points. This could go down later as we go on. Tim Ryan is doing very well in polls, but I feel like these polls are not very accurate. And Vance is doing very well in very recent polls. And Ohio is a very conservative state. It did vote with Trump twice in 2016 and in 2018 by 8 points. And I believe Trump increased his margin in 2020, a blue wave year again. You might be hearing that word a little more, but not by too much. But yeah, this is a state. Tim Ryan is a good candidate. I would say he's very moderate for the Democratic Party and both parties at this point. J.D. Vance is kind of a traditional conservative Trump Republican, in my opinion. He used to be never Trumper, but that phase is now gone, in my opinion. He's not a never Trumper. Trump endorsed him. But I do think J.D. Vance is going to win this by a likely margin. I did have this at 4 points, but I feel like the debate and other stuff adding to that, and Tim Ryan, it's just like Tim Ryan. I don't know what to say, really. I feel like this will be a likely margin as of now. Now, the next state we will be doing is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a very interesting state. I feel like the Democrats are underestimated. Not by too much, though. Don't take that word. Don't, take that out of context. But I do think the Democrats are underestimated in this state. Mandela Barnes has only 33% chance, and I feel like he does not have a big chance. I feel like people saying he's going to lose by 9 points are a little ridiculous. Ron Johnson has been leading a majority of polls, and I do believe he will win by 4 points. We are talking about Wisconsin. Yes, Wisconsin is a state that barely voted for Biden and almost voted for Trump. Trump won it in 2016 as well. And is a state that has been moving to the right in pretty good margins. But I do think it's still a swing state. It did vote for Biden by a small margin. And it did vote for Trump by a small margin. And this is a pretty moderate state. Has been elections that have been under a point in recent elections. This election, Ron Johnson's not going to lose at all. I'm just saying this is a year favoring the Republicans, but still, it's not going to happen. Mandela Barnes... Well, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce candidates. Ron Johnson is the incumbent U.S. Senator, and Mandela Barnes is the current Lieutenant Governor under Tony Evers. Sorry about that. I forgot to mention them. But Mandela Barnes, he is pretty progressive. But I wouldn't say he's as progressive. I feel like it's hurting him when he's campaigning with AOC, embracing endorsements by Elizabeth Warren and stuff. That's not a good move, but that was mostly during the primaries, and he was appealing to progressives a lot during the primaries, but I think right now he's trying to appeal to more moderates. I feel like I could see a Swift in his campaign, and he is pretty relatable, you could say. Still, this is a race Ron Johnson's going to win. There's no doubt about it. I feel like this is going to be 5 points for Ron Johnson. This could easily be a likely margin. But we have to realize this is a swing state, very close state. Yes, it is moving to the right. To the right. But Mandela Barnes is not that terrible of a candidate as people are saying. Yes, he's not the best candidate, but he is, not the worst. When this is, I'm gonna have to put that in a lean margin for the for the Republicans for Ron Johnson. Now these are pretty competitive states. Well, let's not get there yet. And then North Carolina. This is a state that Sherry Beasley is a very good candidate as well. The Democrats have good Democrats do have good candidate quality, but they are having good candidates, in non-states that they have chances, they have a chance in North Carolina, but it's not the biggest chance. Ted Budd is a very good candidate, just traditional conservative Republican, pretty good for the state of North Carolina. Sherry Beasley is pretty good. She's not really an establishment candidate. She's not somebody that loves Biden. And I feel like Sherry Beasley is a good candidate because she's appealing to a lot of moderate white voters. She's doing well with people in the suburbs. She has a history of being a prosecutor, and she's doing good on crime right now. But this is I'll have to put lean margin. I feel like she's a very good candidate, and people are really underestimating her. I feel like this is not going to be a likely margin for Ted Budd. This is a state that did vote for Trump by, I believe, under a point. I might be wrong in that. I believe it was like 1 point exactly. And this is a state the minority vote is going to go out for Beasley, unlike Joe Biden or something, where the minority vote will go out for him, but not the big number. Sure, Beasley's black voters are think Sherry Beasley's somebody that really represents for them and fights for them from what I'm hear from them, But this is a state polling shows Budd is mostly winning. Beasley has lead one poll with it being even, and the polling is interesting this cycle. But right now, obviously Sherry Beasley, not the biggest chance. I think she has a chance, but right now, yeah. Also, Ted Budd is a congressman from North Carolina in the House. I forgot what district. And Sherry Beasley was the leader of the North Carolina Supreme Court judge, but lost the election last year by a very close margin. Okay, we are almost done here. We only have about 4 states. So these, I think, are the most competitive states in the whole election cycle. These are the states that both parties are going to put with the most focus and the most patience in. So I'll do it by competitivity. We'll start with Nevada. We'll start with Arizona, go to Nevada, go to Georgia, and then go to Pennsylvania. So Arizona is an interesting state. I feel like Mark Kelly's going to win. 538, I feel like, is underestimating Blake Masters a little bit. As you can see, 19. That's a little too low, I believe, for Blake Masters, in my opinion. Kelly is doing very well in polls, but I feel like he's being overestimated. This is a state that Biden, he won by a very small margin, 0.2. And Mark Kelly did win in 2020 because it was a special election, so it was a very short term for him. But Mark Kelly did win 2 points, but this is a blue wave year, and he ran against Martha McSally. I do believe Blake Masters, he's not a terrible candidate, but he's not a good candidate at the same time, in my opinion. And Blake Masters, I think, narrowly won the debate. So I think that will barely help him. And I had this as a state that was 0.6 points to Masters, and I think I'm going to move that to 0.2 after the debate and after just thinking about it more. I feel like this will be tilt margin for the Mark Kelly. This will be a very close state. I feel like he is getting overestimated by a lot. But I feel like this is a state that can go to Blake Masters, but I feel like Mark Kelly is very good. I don't feel like Democrats should just look at the polls and be like, oh yeah, this is a state we don't need to donate money. Let's focus money somewhere else. No, this is a state that they need to hold on to. This is a crucial seat. And Mark Kelly is a very crucial part of the Democratic Party, in my opinion, as well. Now, Nevada is an interesting race. The incumbent senator is Catherine Cortez Masto, who was elected in 2016, one of the pretty good wins for the Democrats in 2016. And I think this race, this is accurate. This is one of my biggest agreements. The Republicans in polls are very overestimated, in my opinion. Nevada voted with Biden 2 points. Twice. Catherine Cortez Masto in 2016 won by 2 points. This is a state that's consistently voted for Democrats, red wave, blue wave, by 2 points. So I do think Adam Laxalt right now, who is the former Attorney General, is going to win by a tilt margin. This is probably one of my biggest hot takes. I feel like Nevada is one of the most competitive races. Catherine Cortez Masto is a pretty strong incumbent. Adam Laxalt, there's a lot of flaws in his past that people need to focus on. That the Catherine Cortez Masto campaign can focus on. And also Roe v. Wade being overturned. Nevada obviously has the most abortions because, Las Vegas is kind of crazy, if you know what I mean. So obviously, it supports abortion. It's probably the most pro-choice state in the nation. And obviously, Adam Laxalt is pro-life, so that will hurt him. But I do think Adam Laxalt has the advantage. Nevada is moving to the right slightly. But I do think right now this will have to go to Adam Laxalt. We'll see what happens during the debates. Maybe this debate will help Adam Laxalt or help Catherine Cortez Masto. We don't know. We'll see what happens during the debates. I don't think the debates really swing the elections too much. But, okay. Yeah. Okay, we only have 2 states. We'll go to Georgia. Georgia is probably one of the most competitive states in this whole election cycle. And Herschel Walker has had a big scandal recently, which has been going all over the news, and it's made his chances right now go extremely low. This is a race that Herschel Walker, I thought he was going to win. It's kind of going back and forth for both candidates, but right now, Ralph Warnock is doing really well in the polling, and Herschel Walker's campaign is in shambles. So you can see, Warnock has been leading a lot of polls except this one, which is Walker was leading by 2, and that was not a very good pollster. Also, I forgot, the scandal was Herschel Walker buying he was buying an abortion for his girlfriend and urging her to get another one, which I believe it's basically been fact-checked, and it has been true, I believe, with most news sources. So that's hurting him a lot. But I feel like this is a state that Warnock's going to win pretty easily. Warnock is a pretty good candidate. He does have some own issues domestically, but we do not know if those allegations are 100% true. I'm not trying to silence anybody or anything. But I feel like they probably are true, but we don't know yet, and it's probably not guaranteed because the lady has been who accused Warnock of abuse. I forgot what people said about her, but she wasn't really reliable, sources say. So I feel like Warnock has the advantage. This is not the first, but it's one of the. This is pretty interesting race because both of the nominees are both African American. So Georgia. The white voters are just safe voters, and the minority vote is really the swinging vote in this factor. And it's not that how much will the black vote go to the Republicans, it's how much will the black vote go out for the Democrats. So that's what I think is going to decide the election. How much do African Americans think Warnock is a good senator, that he's actually doing stuff in Washington? Sorry, I had to pause the recording really fast. But yeah, I feel like this stays in Warnock's favor. Now, Pennsylvania. This is why you guys watched the video, probably. It's all you've been waiting for, Pennsylvania. This is one of the 538, and then polling in general has overestimated. Mehmet Oz is a TV show. Is a TV doctor talk show host, for crying out loud. And John Fetterman is the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. John Fetterman, every day he's just decreasing his chances, and it is really bad for the Democrats. This is a state that they need to win, and they're not going. I think they're going to win. I'm just going to put this right now as a tilt margin for the Democrats. John Fetterman is leading in every poll, and I feel like this could be a leading margin, but right now I feel like Fetterman is going to win by probably 2.4. Mehmet Oz is a terrible candidate. I feel like Fetterman has been overblown as a candidate, and and many other things. But yeah, John Fetterman has been making a lot of gaffes, and his attacks are really petty. His campaign's not talking about policy. It's more favoring attacks on Dr. Oz, which I don't think is a good thing. And his attacks on Dr. Oz are funny. I'm not going to lie. Come on. It's not a good idea to say Dr. Oz is from New Jersey. Dr. Oz lived in New Jersey until 2020 to 2021, I don't remember. So he can run for Senate. That's why he moved to Pennsylvania. We all know that. But he says it so much, nobody cares about it. It's not a good attack when you say something over and over again. And it's at the point where it's not even talking about policy. He's not very good at policy. He doesn't talk about it too much. And he's not talking about issues voters actually care about. Yes, attacks on Dr. Oz are pretty good because he is a good person to attack. But the attacks, when that's your whole campaign, that's not a good thing. But that's why I think and also, Dr. Oz is actually talking about policy. He is doing attacks on Fetterman, which are not the best, but he's also actually talking about policy. And Fetterman also has had a stroke and has some health issues, which I don't think are a big concern. Well, they're not actually a big concern, but voters are seeing them as a big concern, which is also hurting them. So this is probably one of the states that are overestimating the Democrats so much, it's kind of cringy. This is what I think the Senate map will look like. I feel like the Democrats will have barely control because it will be a tie, 50-50. So that will mean the vice presidents will have or Kamala Harris will be the deciding vote because it is a tie. And I feel like this is going to be a very close Senate election. These midterm elections are going to have a lot of voter turnout. But tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. I feel like some people might not like this prediction because of the margins. But tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm really interested in what you guys hear. Also, please put your opinion down. And anything you say, I do not care what you say. Just please, if it's not offensive, just please tell me in the comments. And I would love to talk about it with you guys. Sorry if I've been kind of going too fast and I didn't talk enough about the races. Because I feel like I didn't. But I feel like hasn't been that bad. Tell me if the video quality is good. But yeah, just thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you guys again soon. But yeah, see you later. And also, if you're new to the channel, please check out my channel. So bye. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again soon.